So today we're going to be talking about the top 5 quarterbacks in the 2020 NFL Draft. Now, to start, we're going to start with a honorable mention, and he's going to surprise you guys because a lot of you guys have him in your top 3 quarterbacks, but he doesn't crack my top 5. And that player is Jordan Love. And the reason Jordan Love is not making my top 5 is because I think he's a player with an extremely low floor, but an extremely high ceiling. And I think it's more likely than not that we see him closer to that floor than we do ceiling in the NFL. Now, Jordan Love, there's nothing wrong with him, but again, low floor, high ceiling for a player coming out of a not so big school with questionable talent around him does not equal NFL success to me. And I'm sure some of you have watched his film and thought, yeah, this guy's had some great games. But I'm sure you've also looked at some of his other film and been like, man, some of these aren't that good. Now, he does have his strengths. I'm not going to downplay his strengths. Dude is the best improviser in this draft class, has phenomenal athleticism, and has a killer arm. And I think he's one of the better quarterbacks if he can live up to that potential and develop. But I've also seen a lot of weaknesses out of him. The main one I noticed was his plays seemed to regress before his coming out. The year before he decided to come out, his numbers were pretty good. His play on film, a lot better in my opinion. But I don't know what happened in between years to cause his numbers to drop like that and his performance to drop like that. But it's enough for me to significantly question him. Another thing that I look at with him that throws me off his game is there are a lot of clean pockets that he has that he just tries to bail out of for no reason at all. And then the ones where he doesn't bail out, he'll have guys collapsing to where if he easily steps up, he can make that pass. But he doesn't do it. And then he doesn't have the kind of athleticism to where a collapsing pocket on him he can get out of. He doesn't have that kind of athleticism. Now, my floor for him, again, extremely low. My floor for him is Josh Rosen. But my ceiling for him is Patrick Mahomes. Which is kind of why I was saying I don't see him having a Patrick Mahomes kind of career. I just don't. Because even in college, Patrick Mahomes had questionable talent around him, and he was still dominant as a quarterback. Will he succeed in the NFL? To be honest, I think that has a lot to do with what team takes him. Because I had the Colts taking him in the first round, but the Colts traded away their first round pick. And the Colts were one of the few teams where I looked at it and went, he could reach that Patrick Mahomes if he went there. So he's an honorable mention for this. Now, quarterback number 5, Justin Herbert. Now, Justin Herbert is a physical freak. 6'6", 237 pounds, extremely lengthy, with a cannon of an arm. A major cannon. And then on top of it, he's genuinely fast. Like, for someone 6'6", almost 240 pounds, he shouldn't be able to move that fast. Like, build-wise, he looks like he should run probably close to a 5-second 40, but I believe he ran like a 4.78, which is absurd. Now, Justin Herbert can make full field reads too, but his issues come in because he can't put any touch on the football. It's either a rocket straight at you or it's not getting there. Because the plays where he tries to put touch on it, it sails. And not sail to where, oh, it's an overthrow. No, it sails to where the receiver has to slow down to try to get to it. Which is very odd because one of his main things is his arm strength. And then another thing, he's 6'6". You would think tipped balls would be easy to avoid for him, but he actually had a lot of balls tipped because he threw them flat, which is just bizarre. And I don't know if that can be corrected out his game even, because once he gets to the next level, they're not going to worry about batted balls, even though they should. They're going to worry about, hey, can he make this read? Can he make this read? Can he get the ball here? What's his strengths passing? They're not going to worry about that. So I don't know if it can be fixed. Now, for him, his floor, in my opinion, is going to be Ryan Mallett. Extremely low floor. Now, he is more mobile than Ryan Mallett, but to me, their arm talent is extremely similar. Herbert might be a better decision maker than Mallett, but they're similar. Now, his ceiling, however, I have matched up with Josh Allen. Because on film, the first person I thought of watching Justin Herbert was Josh Allen. Now, Herbert had a better team around him than Allen did, but physically, that's who he reminds me of. Alrighty, now quarterback number 4. This one is Jalen Hurts. And it's not because Jalen Hurts is the best passer in this draft. It's because I see Jalen Hurts having, at minimum, a decent NFL career. Jalen Hurts, freak athlete, incredible athlete, and a hell of a leader with a ton of experience in college. In college, he started 42 games and won 38 of them. And that's between 2 different schools. University of Alabama, and then his second school, Oklahoma. Jalen Hurts, he's got the experience of the hardships in college, having to transfer between systems, having to learn 2 different offenses, having to get used to 2 different sets of personnel. That's going to help him in the NFL. And then this is another thing that I've brought up with guys like Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen and guys like that. Accuracy can be improved over time. Like, Lamar Jackson was horrible his rookie year when it comes to accuracy. Horrific. Last year, he was pretty good. A lot better. It's really just about developing your skills. And accuracy is a skill that can be developed over time if they're coached correctly. So my floor for him is Taysom Hill. The reason I say Taysom Hill is because he's, again, a freak athlete just like Taysom Hill is. And worst case scenario, I don't see Jalen Hurts being a guy who's sitting on a bench, doesn't see the field ever, because his athleticism is huge. It's a very important skill set. And if you could utilize him like Taysom Hill, or like how the Chiefs did Trace off the bench, then I don't see why you wouldn't. But his ceiling, I have as Deshaun Watson, because I could see him being very successful in a RPO style offense where you roll out, scrambling, all that kind of stuff. I could see him having that kind of success. Now, between quarterbacks 4 and 3, there is a tier gap. Now, this tier gap is pretty significant because the difference between 3 and 4 as a passer is night and day starting out. So my quarterback number 3 is going to be Jake Fromm from the University of Georgia. Jake Fromm is a 6'2", 220-pound quarterback with all the intangibles you could want. All of them. He's poised, he's smart, and he's got the talent, the arm talent. But with him, the weakness of his game, not very mobile, kind of a more statue guy, even though the NFL is trying to get away from that. And he just doesn't seem to have that it factor. Like, he's a very good quarterback doing what he's asked to do, but I don't think I've ever seen him go out and just win the game for his team. Like, he's never been the guy. Now, with him, I have his floor being Teddy Bridgewater. And the reason I say Teddy Bridgewater, even though I think Fromm has a better arm than Teddy, is I could see them being the same type of quarterback to where Jake Fromm comes in, starts games early in his career, just like Teddy. Don't think he'll have that same injury, but I could see him starting just the same and then getting benched and being a top level backup. That's very possible for him. But I could also see him getting closer to his ceiling. And his ceiling, fittingly enough, I have as Matt Ryan. The similarities I see between him and Matt Ryan are extremely close. I think just like Matt Ryan, I don't think either has ever been the guy to just go out and win the game for their team. But they can do what's needed. And do I think he's going to be successful in the NFL? That depends on where he goes. If he goes to a team like the Patriots, I think he'll be extremely successful. If he goes to a team like New Orleans, where he's going to sit the bench and learn behind Drew Brees to be the heir apparent, I think he'll be extremely successful in that too. Now, there's going to be yet another tier gap between quarterback 3 and quarterback 2. And it's pretty significant in itself. And this might shock some of y'all. My quarterback number 2 is going to be Joe Burrow. And it's not anything on Joe Burrow. It's just, I believe, quarterback number 1 on my list, I think he's got even more potential than Joe Burrow does. Which isn't to bash Joe Burrow, who's an extremely good quarterback prospect. But I think my quarterback 1 is far and away better. Well, not far and away, but better. Now, I have his floor at Andy Dalton. Now, some of y'all are going to clown that because Andy Dalton has never been like the guy, like a top tier quarterback. But Andy Dalton is a middle of the pack quarterback, and if that's where your low point is, that's incredible. But I think the real significance in this is his ceiling, because I have his ceiling at Aaron Rodgers, which is one of the greatest to ever do it. So he's got a mediocre floor, but he's also got an extremely high Hall of Fame ceiling. And do I think Burrow's going to be successful? Of course Joe Burrow is going to be successful. He's got the leadership, he's got the it factor, he's got the talent. He's gonna be successful no matter what. Now, quarterback 1, y'all probably guessed it, it's Tua Tagovailoa. Now, the reason I have Tua over Burrow is I just think that Tua's game is going to develop into something otherworldly. Because as a prospect, I think Tua is the best at reading the field. I think he's the best when it comes to where to place the ball. And the only real knock I have on him is his health. He got beat up at Alabama. Because this is one thing a lot of people aren't talking about. Alabama, outside of Wills, their offensive line was not good at all. Like, at the college level, it wasn't good. And the fact that he gets beat up so much with that offensive line, his other knock is poise. He looked absolutely petrified in the pocket. Like it looked like he was waiting to get laid out. Now, my comps for him, his floor, my comp for that is Ryan Tannehill. And I'm not talking about Tennessee Titans first year Ryan Tannehill. I'm talking about Miami Dolphins Ryan Tannehill, where he's great when he plays. He just doesn't play consistently. And then his ceiling, I have his ceiling set at Andrew Luck. And I think Andrew Luck is a perfect example because Andrew Luck in his NFL career had those same injury concerns. But when he played, dominant. And I think Tua can definitely reach that. But whether or not he gets there is 100% dependent on whether or not he gets drafted by a decent team. If he goes to Miami, he's gonna get hurt. His career's gonna be screwed. And he's gonna turn into the Josh Rosen situation where they take him early and he gets hurt, derailed. It's gonna be a mess if he goes there. But if he could go to a team like New Orleans, I don't think he'll fall that far. But if he could go to a team like New Orleans where he can sit on the bench 1 year, just like Patrick Mahomes, and then come in second year, I think he'll be phenomenal.